Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Packet Live. We got myself, Jeremy Berger, we got Caleb James Delisle, and we got Josh Berger. How are you guys doing today? It's a lovely Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. What's going on?
Same time, same place.
Same time, same place. How are you guys feeling?
Yeah, doing good. It's kind of trippy that we've been doing this for so long, every Wednesday, for years now. Yeah, someone
4
came into
years, 5 years, basically.
Yeah, as one of the community members came into the chat saying that nobody communicates, but we're here every Wednesday communicating. Just got to tune in.
That seems a little strange when we are on here every week asking people to ask us questions. You want anything to talk about, or you know, questions, comments, concerns, hop into the Discord or the Telegram or even on X, make a comment, and we receive them all.
Yeah, we could actually, it might be kind of a cool thing to just kind of talk about. Some of the things that was brought up, because this project's been around for a long time and it's definitely evolved. I gave the analogy of, it's like, you come in and said there's all this doesn't make any sense. I thought we were doing this other thing. I gave the analogy of it's like, waking up 10 years later and being like, wait a second, Amazon doesn't just sell books. Like, I don't get what Amazon does. Like, there's all these things it's doing now. And yeah, I mean, Packet's definitely doing a lot of things, and there's a lot of functionality for this network. And I think that's what's really exciting about it. There's like all these kind of pieces and things people can do now. And how this kind of just builds out the greater dream of incentivizing the growth of the network. Because it had always started with CJDNS and being able to expand that network globally, and now with the stake to earn protocol, there's actually the economic incentive for people to run that network, where in prior models of this project that the network wasn't growing at the pace it is today.
Yeah, I mean, all projects evolve. It's important to if you're involved in Packet, to stay involved, ask questions, and be a part of the journey. Yeah, it's like, if you were in Amazon 20 years ago, it's quite a different project today. They got streaming, they're selling goods, books, music. I mean, it's got everything, so Packet's evolving into what it is today. And yeah, there's a lot of really exciting things that are, happening. I mean, look at this on your screen right here. I mean, we have 173 nodes online on pretty much every continent in the world.
Yeah, and you can see it's growing. You can see where there's lots of different servers, and you can see how everyone's connected. And this technology is just connecting the entire world together for this global network.
Yeah, when you see this, it's really cool.
Yeah, how's that feel for you, Caleb, to visualize this after all these years of building it?
Oh, it's nice, but still always looking forward and never back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, there's definitely a long ways to go, and definitely a lot of space to fill with servers.
Well, I mean, those are the major internet connected. I mean, you could put that map next to a map of data centers, and you're going to see that that's pretty close. I mean, there's places with data centers that are not on that map, but that's definitely where all the major internet connectivity is. I mean, it's going to be unlikely to see a node in a desert, but I think the real question for on the go forward basis is, what are we doing with all this stuff? And I think that's where the VPN technology is going to be a big deal, because you got a network, you got entrances to the network, and you got exits from the network. Then being able to host stuff in the network without having to do a lot of manual configuration, I guess that's going to be other kind of big deal item. So, and then of course, being able to access the network from a desktop or mobile is the third kind of thing that's going to make that network really useful.
Yeah, totally. And when I was talking with this community member, it was kind of like there's two kind of people we're talking to. We're talking to people who want to provide services for the network, and then people who want to use the network. And so it's an interesting way to promote something, is like, hey, here's all the ways you can participate, and then here's all the ways you can use the technology. And then that kind of leads us into what you can do on top of it with the hub, and with the streaming content and media stuff. But at the base level, this is a powerful VPN network. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the security of the network and what makes that kind of unique.
Well, it's all encrypted, so I bet everything's all encrypted on the internet these days anyway, so that's kind of not saying anything anymore. But what I think is important is that it's just your IP6 address hash your key. So it's a very short path between your encryption keys and something that somebody else is verifying. If you're talking about HTTPS, you got a certificate authorities, and every country in the world has one, and they pretty much all convince the browser makers to include them in the browsers. So you can think you're going to google.com or something, and some certificate authority in Turkey just got hacked, and they're being used to sign fake certificates that say that they're Google, and that'll show up with the green lock and everything. And that's not how it works with this. I mean, the IP address is the hash of the key. So if the key isn't right, the IP address isn't right.
Josh, you're muted.
What does that mean in English?
If the key isn't right, the IP address isn't right. I don't know. I mean, it's less likely to have the kind of attacks that you can have with SSL, and there's less effort that's needed in order to maintain all the infrastructure. You don't have to have a whole X509 infrastructure with certificate authorities. And I mean, if you ever set up a website, you know what it is to get a certificate.
Sure.
And all that crap, I mean, you're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. There's all this infrastructure around certificates. The famous domain name company, VeriSign, the sign in VeriSign is because they originally thought of themselves as being a certificate authority, that they were going to sell these certificates. Thing is, certificates became worthless and domains became worth something, and that was something they didn't predict. Otherwise, they would have called it .com company or something.
And so every single person who uses a domain on the packet network, do they also need to, if they use a domain on the network, do they also need to go get an SSL certificate, or does this provide SSL for all?
Well, basically yes, because the browsers, even if you have CGDNS and even you have this security layer there, the browsers still don't believe you that it's secure. And so if you want the browser to work correctly, you still need to get SSL certificates. Though Brave knows to trust things if they come from a trusted source. So, I mean, there's a potential future world where if you go to a CGDNS website, the browser knows that it's encrypted and doesn't insist that you also have an SSL certificate. But that's the future world.
Yeah, it's cool because we're seeing more and more people, more and more sites coming online.
I wonder if you could do DSL over electric fence if you're a farmer. Right? Like DSL goes over anything.
I don't know.
An electric fence is actually pretty robust material. It's a pretty solid piece of wire.
Yeah, there's still a lot of domains that people can.
Yeah, so you got to look at those carefully because, like, you see .apple in the corner there. You're never going to get .apple because only Apple owns .apple, and they do what they want with it, and they're never going to. They're not going to part with PKT.apple.
Right.
But PKT.AO, PKT.AQ, those are countries. And so you might be able to go to that country's NIC and apply for that domain. PKT.AF, that's Afghanistan. So if you write a nice letter to the Taliban and ask them kindly if they'll give you PKT.AF, well, I think there's a handful of registrars that will register .AF domains, and I think you will lose it if the purpose of your site is to insult Islam, but or to be depravity. If the purpose is depravity, they'll take it away. But there's a pretty good chance that PKT.AF would be fine. Somebody used to have a site called queer.af, and they lost it because when the change of government in Afghanistan, they looked at it and said, I mean, you can't really make the case that this is not against the morals of the government of Afghanistan.
Yeah, that's pretty
right in the name.
.church, you got to call the Pope.
Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if that one is, you just have to have a registered, like 501c3 registers at church.
But you need to get that. You need them to make it. It's not about just like being able to get a site on it. It's about.
Yeah, but once you have it, then you can go stake it and just hope that they don't take it away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Just put a site on it that says the Church of Packet, and you can say there's sermons every Wednesday at 9 a.m. PST.
This is our church.
Yeah, exactly. And then you put you stake what's underneath it as the subdomains.
Yeah, we're spreading the gospel every Wednesday.
Right.
Reverend CJD.
Packet.cloud, packet.coffee.
Yeah.
Co-op, that's one that you need to have a registered co-op in order to have .coop. Or you have to have a verifiable cooperative organization.
Yeah. .eat.
EDU, that would be hell to get. Let's see.
So what's kind of the next phase of domains for in your eyes? What's kind of
the next? In the domains, they kind of work. So I think we need to get name servers to where we can test them and verify that they're okay, and then we can open that up so that people can run name servers, because that was one of the plans was to allow the community members to run name servers. Then no, domains are in good shape, I think. Yeah. Well, there's a little dump stakey thingy on my website, cgd.packet, that lets you get a packet domain in one shot, also getting the getting the stake for it at the same time. So that's kind of nice, and maybe that'll end up in the dashboard, or maybe it'll end up somewhere else. But right now it's on my site.
Yeah, you're talking about this thing.
cgd.packet. Whatever you want.
Here, Jeremy, bring it up. This.
Yeah, I put my little utilities on that site.
Yeah, this thing's cool. You can. Let's see, what are stakes at right now?
I don't see it on the screen.
What?
Yeah, I thought it was going to load.
You don't see it on the screen?
Nah. It's just a big empty spot.
Really?
How's that? I see it.
There we go.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this thing's cool. Let's see what it.
It doesn't tell you the current price.
Right.
I mean, if you register one, then it'll tell you what it cost to do it, but it doesn't like pull the price.
Right.
And then once whatever you put on that stake, you obviously can't reduce the size of that stake once it's live, can you?
Well,
Or
you
actually
can't really reduce the size of stakes in general. You can only unstake them. There is a feature of the smart contract that allows you to switch what stake is behind a domain, but there's literally no UI out there for using that feature. And you can switch to a smaller stake if the required stake goes down. So if you happen to register a domain at a time when everybody's doing it, but you don't want to keep that much on the stake for that domain, you can wait till a time when no one's doing it and then use that smart contract function. You just have to use the smart contract function.
You can also, hold on, I was just thinking, so if you register at a time to get the stake and it is at a certain price, but then you could then transfer that to any other stake at a future date, right? And
right, yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, you can transfer it. It just the minimum stake that you can transfer it to is going to be the same as the minimum stake for a new domain at the time of transfer.
got it.
So yeah, if you just wait until it goes down to like 1,000 ish, then yes, you could move it off of a big stake onto a small one. But that there's just no UI for that contract call. So yeah, that's, you probably want to do it like in the Explorer.
Yeah, I think the best thing would be obviously to update this page with just the price. I guess we could do it on the UI version of the page eventually.
Oh yeah, getting the price isn't too hard at all. It's just it's a data request. Those are easy.
Yeah.
The hard part is sending a transaction.
Yeah, so you did the hard part, but we need to do the easy part on this thing. But didn't we have somebody making this into a pretty looking page?
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah. Well, bravo to you to get this up and running. This is going to be good for a lot of people just looking to simplify the purchase process. But of course, if you're going to use this page, you got to know how much packet is required.
Yeah, I mean, you can put a maximum of what you're willing to spend, but
see.
If it goes over the maximum, it just fails.
Right. If you put the maximum, will it only stake the minimum required?
Yeah. The maximum is just to kill the transaction if for some reason the price just went to the moon while you were clicking the button.
Got it. So if it's 1,000 and you say the maximum you're willing to stake is 3,000, it'll only stake the 1,000 required.
Correct. Oh. Yeah. But that 3,000 is just there to just call a halt to the contract execution if it happens that 2 people snuck in before you and now it's 4.
Got it. Well, then that's not so bad. I was just thinking that if you put 5,000 in there and it was 1,000, it was staking 1,000. Or sorry, it was staking 5,000 instead of 1,000. So that's better that it just does the max required rather than just whatever the max you're willing to stake.
Yeah, I wanted to put that there because, I mean, you could in principle have a runaway situation where the price just spikes while you're between the time you check it and the time you click.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's obviously been an issue, and several people have had that experience where they've gone and seen what the price is. Then you go make a stake, and by the time you're back, it's not enough. Right. And now you have to go back and you have to add assets. And so this simplifies that whole process.
It does, but what it will do is it will add those assets to the stake. So you may end up having spent more packet than you really intended to. You know, it'll do that entire process inside of one transaction, but you just have to be careful because you can end up spending money you didn't think about. So that's why there's the max window there.
Right. Just in case, you mean just in case in that moment it spikes up, like 5 people claim at the same time and it zooms up.
Yep.
It'll fail in that circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Well, this is cool. Very cool. I think the community will appreciate this. So how do people get to this page right here?
cgd.packet.tv.
Or you just put this right onto your CJD.
Yeah, there's links to this and dump stake right on my page.
Oh, awesome.
Here, we'll get live TV. Give it a try.
The other day I was asking Grok, what are the physical limitations of Starlink? Because I'm just sort of like thinking, is there actually any limit to how much you can beamform? So what Starlink does is they have a satellite up there, and then they have like thousands of antennas on one satellite, and they broadcast the signal from all the antennas at sort of augmented times, so that all the signals, like they come down and they hit the spot where you are all at the same time, and that causes that wave, that signal to like amplify right where you are physically, where your ground station is. And that's wild that you can do that. It's kind of like triangulation with audio. It's wild that you can do that, and it makes that they can be sending different signals to the same they can see sending different signals to different people at the same time on the same frequency. And I was just like, what are the limits to that? Because I mean, can you just literally send a signal to everyone on Earth at the same time on one frequency? You know, like, or is there any limit? And apparently there are limits, but it's pretty wild technology what they're able to do.
Well, they just opened up I guess you call it like a trial version, but anybody can request to get in and begin doing text message over Starlink. And it's providing text message accessibility in places where you don't even have Wi-Fi, you know, where you don't have your regular cellular signal.
Do you have to opt in?
Mind-blowing.
T-Mobile,
because the phone, it's just like a little antenna, right? It's just a little antenna, and it's just broadcasting this stupid, weak little signal that, I mean, yeah, it might make it cross town, but that's about it. It's only meant to make it to the next cell tower. And there's these satellites like, you know, 20 miles up off the surface, sailing overhead, and they're able to somehow pick that signal off the ground and then use that antenna array to like hone in on that spot where the signal's coming from and actually read what you're saying on what the phone is saying, and then talk to the phone. And then the phone must be confused as hell. It must think it has a cell tower inside of its head talking to it. Yeah. You know, where's the cell tower? It's like the cell tower is on top of you if it's a satellite that's sailing overhead and beam forming a signal down on top of your antenna.
I used it once. I lost power up in the mountain, and I was able to send a text message. It was cool. You have to like point it around and like find the satellite, and then it locks on, and then you have signal.
And the satellite has to find you, because I mean those satellites are flying overhead. These are really low flying satellites, so they just come up over the horizon, they fly overhead, and then they disappear. So the satellite, I don't know exactly how long it is. It's visible, but it's got to only be like a minute or so that it's above you, and then it's gone.
You really have to be outside. It doesn't work like when there's obstruction. Like I
Yeah.
like pointed it out the window and just was like, and caught it. And I actually I text like Jesse or someone, and he got it, and then I lost it. And that was it.
So what I'm wondering is if they can use the laser beam connections they have between the satellites, if they can use the lasers to synchronize the satellites and then use multiple satellites to send a signal down on one spot at the same time. Because if they can use those multiple antennas on multiple satellites, that gives you a lot more distance between the antennas, so the triangle gets wider. So when you're doing triangulation, the wider the triangle, the better off you are, and the more granular you are with the point. So if they can figure out that, but we're talking picosecond, nanosecond level synchronization that's necessary, because we're doing triangulation at the speed of light. So this is some really, really advanced stuff they have to pull off there. Anyway, very, very interesting. I think, and this is going out on a limb, but I think that this is going to be threatening to the entire telecom industry.
In what way?
Well, telecom industry needs to run fiber, and then they need to maintain it. Starlink just shoots a computer up into space, and once it's there, when it ages out, they just let it drop into the atmosphere and burn up. But they shoot a computer into space, and space is all fiber. There's nothing to maintain. There's nothing to run. If you want to make a laser shot between two satellites, you need to aim the laser really good because they're sailing past each other. But once you've solved the send and receive sides of this, space is just empty. Like you can use all of it to send as many signals as you want with lasers, and then that's between satellites. And then to Earth, you've got that beamforming thing where you can send different signals to different people, different locations on Earth at the same time on the same frequency. Normally with radio, you give one frequency, one signal that you can send, but with beamforming, you augment the waves such that when the waves come together and they hit each other, the wave that hits the waves that collide over here send one message, and the waves that collide over there send another message. So you can send a lot of messages at the same time to a lot of different people over the same frequency just by using a bunch of antennas and playing games with speed of light and triangulation.
Gotcha.
And I think that this is going to scale really well. I didn't think it was possible initially, but after seeing them pull it off, basically, now I'm thinking, where's the limit? How far can they go with this? Can they actually replace the entire telecom industry with satellites, lasers, and fancy radios?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Well, we shall see.
Yeah, definitely. I just opted in for some Starlink text messaging.
Nice. So we're gonna have like apartment buildings with a 10 gigabit Starlink panel on the roof 10 years from now, and then the landlord is selling internet to everybody in the building. That's a realistic possibility.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway,
no,
I'm just here to talk about random tech stuff. Anything packet related? Well, it's all packet related.
Well, yeah, I think it is packet related. Having people be able to use Starlink to run a CJDNS node, and when you talk about, you're not going to see a lot of nodes in the desert. You can see one if someone attached it to their Starlink in the desert, and that is how you get that global expansion of the network.
Yeah, what's the latest developments on the hub, Josh? We just did a partnership that just announced. It was like early or at the end of the week last week, right?
Yeah, we have a bunch of partnerships. We've been just onboarding them onto the hub. They're all up now, so we're going to start rolling out the press releases about each of them. But yeah, we got like 10 partnerships, which is really cool, that we'll be rolling out. And then yeah, we've been building the back end of the hub so that it's easier to get these new partners up, because we're starting to get a lot of people submitting, whether it's creators or whether it's different platforms. And so yeah, we're just building out the back end, so it's just really easy to get those up and sort them and be able to put them in the different sections. And so that's kind of being built behind the scenes. But yeah, we got a bunch of cool partnerships that are happening, and then we're just continuously collaborating, and we have some other people who are helping kind of tie us in with some of these bigger projects and bring in those resources. So yeah, a lot of them are at ETH Denver right now. So there's a little bit of a lull while people are walking conference floors and whatnot. But probably be an interesting sentiment at ETH Denver right now after this huge crash that just happened. But
oh man, yeah, everything just lost their support.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see what people are saying.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've always been on this pathway since the beginning, that it's really about what we're trying to build here, and the price is a product of that. Obviously, everybody wants the price to be higher, but the technology that's leveraging the blockchain is what's super valuable. So just keep building, and the markets will turn around. They always do. And so yeah, just kind of onboarding more people to start using this, and that's what's been really exciting about what we're doing with the hub, and with Packet TV, and being able to really take this technology that we have and apply it in a valuable way to an entire industry. And we've been on calls. Jesse and I have been taking some pretty high level calls, and everyone's been really excited about what we're building here and what this looks like as a solution for this industry. And so that's been exciting, because we've been doing Packet for a long time, and I remember starting this off and everyone's eyes glossing over, being like, look, I have no idea what you're talking about. I hear you're saying a bunch of words, I can't visualize it. But now with the release of the hub, now you can see what this looks like, and now there's a visualization of it, and now you can like see where the rubber meets the road, and what and what this network actually can become, and what you can build on top of it, and how people can use it. And so that becomes exciting to have those conversations, and people to be able to fully understand what we have here and what we built.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I've been really excited as well that the infrastructure that the Packet network represents really provides the backbone for what will become Packet TV. The current Creator Hub and Packet Hub obviously are built on the Packet network as well. And having actual utility for the currency is, specifically now rooted in the domain system. And we've seen projects like FIO and Impossible Domains registering millions and millions of domains. Millions. I think when we have spoken to both of those projects, talking about somewhere between 2 to 4 million per project in registered domains. And currently on the Packet project, we have a little over 300 registered domains. So we have a long way to go. But in the circumstance that people are registering tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of domains, it's going to create unbelievable utility for the currency. And you'll be looking at people, acquiring Packet, needing Packet to grab domains. And then obviously it will create a lot of utility on the, blockchain side of the project as well. I mean, Caleb, your server is going to be in pain when it has, millions of stakes set up.
Oh.
But
sorry to cut you off, but I did want to indicate what was causing that issue with the server, because I tracked it down. I believe it was yesterday. It was one of the RPC servers. So this server, to try to be more robust, uses a number of RPC servers and just it sequences through them. And if one of them fails, it's not a big deal. Well, one of them didn't fail. It went delayed on the blockchain, so it wasn't encountering blocks until much later than others, and it was also slow. It was responding slow, and the effect of this was that it was getting a notification that something had changed, something had updated, but then when it went to go get it, well, it went to the slow RPC to get it, and when it went to the slow RPC to get it, it was getting the old version. So that should be fixed. And also I removed that particular server because it was just a tragedy case. Anyway, sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to give that piece of news.
Okay. Yeah, no, that is great news, obviously. And, there's obviously opportunities for improvement on the dashboard, and we're seeing quite a bit of scaling happen there as well in terms of the number of stakes that are being created, and the goal is to supercharge that. I think one of the pieces that we've been saying for years now is that blockchain can really take off when people stop talking about blockchain, and people in general feel confused about it. For the most part, it's being used for speculation. But when you talk about utility and you think about what this represents in particular with domains, and the whole thing taking place inside of this network, it's really, really compelling. And it was interesting for me when we spoke to Impossible Domains and what they're doing with tokenizing domains. It's just kind of a roundabout way to use an NFT, but it doesn't really at the registrar service have anything to do with blockchain at all, right? And so in this case, we have a whole different ball game happening where domains are natively being added into NFTs, and you now have the ability to transfer them and custody them. And our goal is to make that scalable while also making it so people don't necessarily have to even interact with a Web3 wallet or be thinking about crypto at all. And I think by doing that, especially as it relates to Packet TV and the Creator Hub and the Packet Hub, is going to enable this blockchain project to grow dramatically, even while the people who are participating in it may not be actively participating in the cryptocurrency side of the project, or even know that there's a cryptocurrency side to the project, which is, I think, very compelling. And then ultimately that will benefit the people that do hold Packet, that are more focused on the cryptocurrency side, just seeing the active utility of the network and the cryptocurrency. That was always the goal. That was always the goal. So with where this goes now, the engine that I believe will have a traumatic impact is interacting with content creators, and it's not, when we say content creators, this isn't just filmmakers. This is people who have books, podcasts, musicians, obviously film and TV as well, but it can also extend out into people running e-commerce businesses and beyond, blogs, specifically publishing. We've been talking about news and sports. So every facet of our industry, at large on the media side, can benefit from this. Even a cool story, Josh, what you did last week, where there's a healer from Africa who is going to be offering some courses and set up a website utilizing, Packet, right? And what's great about that is for someone like that to utilize the technology as their actual website where they're promoting their their services is awesome. And now that person has that website, doesn't have to pay recurring registrar fees, doesn't have to manage a GoDaddy account, and yeah, I think a lot of people are going to find benefit to what this thing is capable of, and how it can be used.
Yeah, no, it's also cool because he doesn't have to spend money on a domain and doesn't have to do all the things that you need to do to and that event is a temporary event. So just being able to have a site for a one-off thing that is a short period of time, and that's what we've talked is really cool about film stuff too, is like you make a movie, you put the movie up, and then you got to pay for that domain for the rest of your life. And so being able to just have that domain live forever and not have any like ongoing reoccurring costs is valuable. Yeah, it's only, a few dollars a year, but like, it adds up, and you're basically paying for that for eternity. And this becomes a solution for people to just be able to build things for free, basically. Yeah, I'm excited for the expansion. And it's kind of like I almost look at these domains as kind of like your username. When you come to, Instagram, you get to go claim your name on Instagram. And, I was lucky enough to do that a long time ago. And on Twitter, or an X, formerly known as Twitter. And so in the Packet network, you can now basically claim your username and be able to either drive that to your current website or have that be your website uh, for anyone to access.
Yeah, it's super rad.
It's just going to be about a messaging campaign to get more people to know about it. And that's always been the biggest challenge with this project, is just the amount of, when it comes down to marketing, it's just a money thing. And when it comes down to the money thing, you need a lot of money to effectively market. And it's a catch-22 in crypto, because the majority of the crypto world are what we like to call jeeters, right? So they get their currency and they sell it, and it's an extraction process of value. When the currency is going down, especially when it comes to crypto projects that rely on that currency for marketing efforts, then you basically have a challenge where the price of the currency is dropping if those people are selling, and it becomes more difficult to get the capital needed to do the marketing, right? But everyone wants the price to go up, but everyone's selling it, and so it's going down as a result, and then it makes it more difficult to market. So you need constant infusing of capital to come in, either on the buy side, where you're buying the sellers, buying the sellers' coins, or on some sort of equity side. Well, when Packet began, the United States in particular was under significant threat, attacking creators of cryptocurrency projects, via the SEC. And there was this like imminent, threat that you could be, in harm's way by launching a cryptocurrency project. And obviously there's, more often than not, people using this ecosystem for fraud. So, it's understandable that there's a lot of bad actors out there. But with the Packet
I'm
project,
going to cut you off again, because they let the bad actors go. They knew they were there. They pretended that they didn't know. They let it go. They let it happen. They knew there was fraud, and they went after honest, decent projects.
That's true. I agree with you on that. But there was, like I said, an imminent threat is true. There was always this imminent threat that even, as you said, there was actually more of an imminent threat that an honest project would be attacked just because it got big. And we saw that with many different projects that were actually one of the craziest projects that raised, I believe they raised like $250 million, was a project called Base. And it was way before Coinbase's Base project. That's why I was surprised when Base came out. But if you ever go back, you can find this white paper for Base, and it was a stable coin. And they raised very successfully. The Summit community actually was behind this project, some of the very, very intelligent people, and they raised all this money. And if I'm not mistaken, they were touched by the government, where they basically said, you're never getting this project off the ground, and they had to give all the money back. It was pretty remarkable. So it was actually there's a bit of some irony in there that Coinbase ended up coming in and claiming a Base project and ended up relaunching. And I was always confused about that. But the biggest projects, the most successful projects, were always under this imminent threat. And with a change-making project like Packet, with how vast and expansive the premise of it was, and what the potential of the project was, in founding that, there was always this fear that, it could come under imminent threat. So anyways, the decentralized nature of a proof of work and the way it was launched also meant that there was never any centralized entity that could raise equity. And if you don't have a centralized equity, component to your project, then you just don't have a treasury of capital to spend on the marketing. And, there was a moment in time where I think project founders could have sold off the treasuries that they held and used that for marketing. There's no question. Unfortunately, those players didn't sell, and they were holding to, in belief that the project could go a lot higher. And maybe that was a mistake. And if they had sold and spent millions of dollars on marketing, the project probably would have gone in a different direction. But it also coincided with a bear market that occurred at that exact time with the FTX crash. So it's just bad timing as well. And that coincided right with Packet getting its exchange list, its initial exchange listing launches. It was like right at the end of the bull market. But it's a long way of saying that now where the currency market cap is obviously disappointing, because there's not a huge amount of ammunition to go prop up the kind of marketing engine that's required to make this thing grow, even though it has some of the most consequential technology. And meanwhile, people are just running around, with flash in the pan meme coin projects getting, tens of millions or hundred millions of dollar market cap just so everyone can rug each other, less than 24 hours later. So it's a sad kind of, world right now for crypto. But meanwhile, you have this project where it's continuing with, consequential technology that's usable by anybody who's doing anything on the internet. And it's just a matter of how can we get the megaphone loud enough that people can hear it in the back, and believe that there's more here than just, than just a token to, sell into the liquidity pool and move on. There are people who are holding large positions in this currency, and bless all of their heart. And it's, now just up to a few good men who are grinding to try and make it possible for there to be an engine that can get that megaphone, loud. And right now, that engine is looking to be Packet TV. That was really what we've been working on in the short term, is how to show the usability of this network, in particular, the usability of the domain service that was just launched, and bringing that into a niche community that's also very big, powerful, and has a lot of capital flowing around that can make use of it. And an example of that is when you look at these movies that are getting made, every single one of these movies is over $1 million in production. $1 million is a low budget film, right? $1 million in crypto is a lot in today's marketplace. That's for sure. Most crypto projects are launching with, maybe a few tens of thousands of dollars at best. So a really, really small movie is millions of dollars. A really, really big movie is tens of millions, if not, 100+ million. And so knowing that there's thousands of projects that are made every single year, and each project has tens, if not hundreds, and some of the big projects, thousands of people working on them. So even though it's a niche community in the entertainment space, there's so many people there, and entertainment is relatively recession proof. So even if the crypto markets are going down, people are still spending money making content. TV never ends, right? People are watching content on their phones, in their homes, no matter what is happening in the world. And so it's really a great place to bring all of this technology and targeting content creators in particular who have access to capital, who can utilize this for their own benefit. And then you have all the marketing dollars that once the product is completed, that they have to spend to get awareness for their project. And so the idea with the Creator Hub is a place where content creators can have rails to promote their products as well as seek distribution. And by doing so, they're ultimately utilizing the Packet network and Packet DNS. And we now have like real world utility that's happening irregardless of where the price is. Like most of these people that are going to use this tech will have no idea that there's a cryptocurrency behind it, will not even have a Web3 wallet. They won't have any relationship to the cryptocurrency at all. And it will ultimately, in mass, have a strong benefit to all the people who are believing in the project because of the utility factor. So that's been the goal here, is to kind of abstract away from the cryptocurrency market, and where the ebb and flow of that market is not the primary focus, and really getting people to use this tech, for their personal uses, which are thousands and thousands of people that need these tools.
Yeah, and I think that's where crypto really takes off, is when people aren't talking about the crypto side of it. They're not talking about the blockchain technology. They're just using it, and it just provides value and benefit. That's really where this thing's going. And yeah, like you said, the people who are taking positions, especially at these levels of Packet, are gonna reap the rewards of that.
You're just talking about Web3 wallets. It reminded me that something we haven't really, that most people don't notice. People who use Web3 wallets don't notice that they're actually kind of bad. And one of the things that's bad about them is that you need to have the base token in order to do a transaction, even though you could do like a Packet transaction and then just mix into that transaction a sale of a tiny microscopic amount of Packet in order to pay the fee. That's there's nothing preventing that at the blockchain level. It'd be easy enough to do, but the Ethereum EVM doesn't support it, so the wallets are stuck in this world where you need to have the base token in your wallet on the address that you're going to spend with in order to do a transaction. I was commenting the other day, it's like a bank that charges an entry fee to get in. It doesn't matter what you have in the bank. If you don't have that few pennies to get in the door, you can't access any of it.
Right. Yeah, it's actually been kind of annoying, because it's with all of them. I had some money that somebody sent on Polygon, and I'm like, I don't have any Matic, so I had to go to an exchange, buy some Matic just to move it off of my wallet into the exchange. And yeah, this is the friction that we suffer from with this industry being new still. But I think these problems are getting easier. I mean, the wallet technology is getting a lot better. I mean, Jesus Christ. And so we got to kind of take the small victories. But yeah, I guess we could leave it there and take the small victories that we're having here and get back to work and keep building the dream.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, if anybody ever has any questions or anything, feel free to jump into the Telegram or the Discord. We're all in there and readily available for anything anyone needs. And if you haven't done so already, go get yourself a domain.
Yeah, definitely.
If you haven't done so already, what are you waiting for? If you're listening in, you should definitely get a domain. I mean, there's absolutely no reason not to. It costs 1,000 packet, which is, I mean, right now 40 cents. So that's a no-brainer, and you never have to pay for anything ever again. In fact, you're not even paying. The 40 cents is just going into a stake that is on your Web3 wallet. So it's just moving your own packet into an NFT that you're in custody of. So it's it's super easy. The other thing is that for people who have Canva, and we've been looking for another web builder, but people who have Canva, you can utilize Canva as a host and you can put a web page up. Super simple. Did we launch a video for how to do that on Canva?
Josh, you did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did.
Video.
Yeah, it's
and
on.
We put it
it's
up
on.
It's on YouTube.
Okay, yeah. So it's on YouTube. So if you want to go into YouTube and just you can check that video out. We'll post it again so that people who do have a Canva Pro account can put a web page up. Super simple. It's great because launching a web page does have a little bit of cost, meaning you got to host your web page somewhere. Now, you can host a web page just off of your own computer if you know how to do it. There's just a little bit of detail needed on the backside of that process, but Canva just makes it simple and handles it all on their own. And I highly recommend people start doing it, and we can see some growth there. But for the matter, it can be anything. It can be a blog. It could be, an e-commerce store. It could just be a personal website, whatever you want. It could just be a landing page. So there's absolutely no reason not to take action and start messing around with this tech.
Yeah, here it is right here. How to connect your free packet domain.
There you go. So yeah, check that out. That is a no-brainer.
All right, gents. Nice chatting.
Yeah.
Catch you next week. Same time, same place.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And yeah, make sure to go over to the Telegram and follow the Packet Telegram, and also head over to Discord and join the conversation.
All right. Have a great day.
Thanks everybody. See you next time.
All right. Cheers all.